let's get into some dictation demonstration. I've got some great questions. I addressed that one. So Marianne has a question. Hi, Faith. Oh, good. I'm glad I answered your question. Excellent. Okay. Marianne said, are there any videos to demonstrate the dictation in action? Absolutely. We have those on our Yahoo, no, sorry, not Yahoo group, on the YouTube Endorsed SWR channel. Again, if you go to my website and go to the Get Support page, you will get a link directly to our YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube and type in Endorsed SWR, and we have a channel. I will tell you, there's lots of videos out there of very well-meaning people who have attempted to share what they're doing with Spell to Write and Read, and I would say that most of them are really great. However, you're going to find if it's not on the Endorsed channel, there could be some issues. I've watched some of them and I go, no, don't say that. No, don't do that. So well-meaning people, some really great content, and some content I would not send you to that video because of it. So if you go to our Endorsed SWR channel, you will find that we have videos there. One of our trainers from the Midwest, she used to be in Alaska, now she's in the Midwest. I think she's in Illinois now. Heidi Thomas, she did some great videos of her teaching her sons, and she's got, I think, 3 or 4 videos there where she's demonstrating the dictation. So watch those. There's a couple of them there with me where I'm demonstrating dictation. I demonstrated how to teach the word hallelujah with a co-op that I was teaching, and I teach the word Tuesday. That was a Q&A that I answered from our Yahoo group. And so, and then of course I'm going to do some spelling dictation for you now. And so also the videos that I've been doing here on the Facebook Live, I am going to be loading those up to our Yahoo, or sorry, I keep saying that, to our YouTube channel. I'm going to be loading those in the next couple weeks. I've got to get my assistant on that project. And so this video with me demonstrating the dictation, it will be up there too. So our intention is to get more and more of these support videos up there for you. Okay, so here's a question that Desiree has. I hope I'm saying your name right, Desiree. And she's also writing in from the Facebook page. And she said, when words have the silent final E, when using my hands to show the sounds, do I put up a finger for the silent letter? So let me explain to you what we're doing with our fingers. The purpose of the fingers is to illustrate the letters that are in the word. So let's say I'm going to teach the word time. Okay, it's time. The time is 11:33 California time. So my fingers are going to represent each of the letters in that word. And there are 4 letters, so I'm going to have 4 fingers. One of them is a silent letter. Okay, so Desiree, that right there answers your question. Yes, you're going to need to represent the E. So this is how I would teach the word. Now, this is hard to do with a video because I don't have a student there. And if I do all the talking, then you're not going to understand the interactive process. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to pretend that I have a student. And so when I have a little voice like this, that's my little student. I hope you can hear that, okay? All right, the word is time. It is time for a new word. Time. How many syllables? 1. That's my student, okay? All right, look up here. Let's sound it out. Student says, T, I, and then I say, so student did not hear a silent letter. Student only hears T, and by the way, I voiced that wrong. So the student should say T, I, That's all the student hears. That's all the student would know. So now I need to teach that there's another letter in this word. So I would go like this. So I'm going to voice what the student says. T, I, and I say, I can say nothing, because guess what? The phonogram says nothing. I wiggle it, or I could go like this. Again, no voicing because it's a silent letter. Or I could say, So I could wiggle it, point to it, mouth it. Sometimes I just go like this. My point is I'm showing a finger for the letter. I'm not saying anything. It's not use e because e is a phonogram that says either or e. This is a silent letter. It's not the phonogram e. It's the letter e. So it's t, I, m, or. That's how I would teach that. Then I swipe over and we blend it together. Let's say the word and we say it together, or I have the student say it. So I'm going to have the student say it here. Time. And then I say, great, say it while you write it. And I put my hands down and the student says, t, I, silent e. Read back what you wrote. Time. All right, dictate it back to me. And let me get my whiteboard ready. Dictate it back to me. And the student says, time. T, I, add an e. Time. And of course, that's terrible. I would do that better, hopefully. Does yours look like mine? Yes. Tell me how to mark it. Draw a bridge from the I over the consonant to the E. Why did I do that? I said I because of the E. Does I, okay, sorry, I'm not going to go into dialogue. And anything else? Yes, double underline the E. Why do I double underline the E? It's a silent letter. Great job. Are we done? Yes. All right, great. Next word. And I go into the next word. Okay, so how do I indicate that there's a silent letter? I'm going to use a finger, one of course, because unless it's a silent, I don't know that I have multi-letter phonograms that are silent. Silent letter, I think, is just usually one. And I either point to it and mouth it, I wiggle it, whatever I do, I'm not saying anything, but I'm indicating. A lot of times once we learn this, I'll just point to it and smile, wiggle it, and the kids get all excited because they know something that I'm not saying. So that's how to answer that question. Okay, another question here. This is from Audrey. And there we go. Okay, list N7. Okay. Ooh, great. Okay, first of all, the word arrow. All right, in order to understand these words, got it. All right. In order to understand these words, you're going to need to understand about think to spell. And think to spell is discussed for you in the Spelled Write and Read book, and it's part of list 12. And it is such an important part of this book that when I tab my book, and I have the students in my seminars do that, which, by the way, that is totally optional. You do not have to tab your book. But when we do, I literally have an entire tab just for Think to Spell, because this is such a valuable part of the book. I've got a tab on all the different steps, but that, even though it's not its own step, I have a tab because it's critical. So if you look on page 79 in your Spelled Write and Read book, you're going to see a list here of all of the kinds of situations where we have to do Think to Spell. And by the way, we do have a bookmark, I don't have it here with me, where those 12 different situations for Think to Spell are listed on one side of the bookmark, and then you flip it over and there's our spelling dictation on the back, or the pattern for the dictation. So that is a really handy little tool that you can have in your book. I would actually tuck it into my Wise Guide and have it right there so I know when I'm teaching a section, I've got that available for me. All right, the word arrow, which is word number 902, it's in list N7. It's on pages 112 and 113. All right, the word arrow. So when I look at this word, notice how I'm saying it. Arrow. Arrow. I'm using the a-r. So the first syllable is ar. A-r. Row. R-o. Arrow. Now, it's not R-row. It's not R. We don't say R-row. I'm going to shoot an R-row. It's arrow. So what I want you to notice is when you look at this word, because A-R are next to each other, and that could be a multi-letter phonogram, we want to make sure that the student knows it's not R. It's not R-row. And so what we're going to do is we're going to put a 1 over it. Now, that is an unusual marking. Normally when we're marking words, we don't put a 1 over something that says its first sound. In the word court, okay, this is the word number 911. What did I do with, here it is. Okay, so let me show you just below word 9. We have the word, first of all, the word that we're doing, arrow, and then just below it is the word court. Okay, so in the word arrow, we have the a is saying its first sound. This is saying its first sound. We're not going to put a 1 over this. We assume if we don't do any markings that a phonogram is saying its first sound. So why are we going to put a 1 here and not here? Because, like I said, normally if a phonogram is saying its first sound, we leave it alone, okay? So the reason we put a 1 is because we want to make sure that we're not confusing this with the multi-letter phonogram R. If you look on page 220, let me make sure I get the right page number. I think it's 220 in SWR. Yep, page 220 in SWR. There's a page there for you that lists all of the different markings. And why do we mark a word with a number? When do we put an X? When do we do a bridge? Why do we underline? All of those are in one place on page 220 in SWR. And you're going to see there when you look under the numbers, and it's number 5, item C, and it explains that you put a 1 above a phonogram to clarify that it is a single phonogram rather than a multi-letter phonogram. Okay, so the whole purpose is that I want to make sure I know this is arrow, not arrow. Okay, now I would underline that because it's a multi-letter phonogram, and I would put a 2 here because it's saying its second sound. Okay, and here I would underline that, also multi-letter phonogram. Court, it's saying its second sound, so I'd put a 2 there. So the numbers are indicating which of its sounds. Normally we don't use a 1, but in some very few situations we do, to make sure that we know it's saying it's a single letter phonogram, not a multi-letter phonogram. And so look at page 220 in Spell to Write and Read for an explanation of the markings. Also the Think to Spell on page 79, and then that particular Think to Spell is number 8. And so you're going to look at, on page 79, look at number 8, and then you can see where it's explained starting on the bottom of page 87 in the Think to Spell section. And so you can see a bunch of words where you would be using that number. It's rare. We don't use that a lot, but it does come up. Okay, so the word blood, in American English, as far as I know, British English, not Scottish English, we pronounced the o phonogram as We say blood, Well, that's not going to help us to know how to lock in for spelling that phonogram. If we hear that's not going to point us to o, because that phonogram does not say So what we're going to do is we're going to think to spell blood, or that's what I would do. I would think to spell blood, and I would have fun with that. I would go, oh no, he's blooding, and I would just go weird, and I go weird in my class. My kids love it. Even with older kids, I sometimes get kind of wacky and weird, and you know what? It helps lock in that weird sound. So I would teach it that way, but we put an X above it. So again, if you go to your Think to Spell section, and that is actually for Think to Spell, that's number 3. Look at page 79. Number 3 is to deal with exception words. Now, when I say an exception word for Spell to Write and Read, an exception word, I'm talking about when a phonogram is not saying one of the sounds we expect it to. For this word, I'm expecting the double O, which of course I don't call it that, but I'm expecting that phonogram to say oo, o, and it says Now, if I were in Scotland, this would not be a Think to Spell word at all, because they say blood, oo, let's see, sorry, oo, o. They say blood. I'm not from Scotland, so I don't know how to say that properly, but that is how they say it. So for them, it's like, yeah, so what? I don't get it. I'll give you an example. In American English, we say ben. We say the E-double-E in the word ben as an eh. So if you're from the UK, you don't say it that way. You say bean. So Americans have to think to spell bean, and then we put an X over it because it's not saying what we expect it to. But in Britain, they would not need an X because it's saying it the way that they pronounce it, bean. So I was teaching a seminar one time and I was talking about this. And in the front row was my friend Jane. And Jane was from London. And Jane just sat there with the biggest puzzled look on her face. She's like, well, I don't understand. What's all your problem? And I saw her look and I said, Jane, would you read this word to everybody? And she goes, bean? I don't understand. And then everybody got it, because in America we pronounce it one way, in Britain they pronounce it another. So the reason we have an X over it in the word ben is because in American English we don't pronounce it as E. In Britain, the UK, wherever they pronounce, maybe even Canada, if they pronounce it as an E, then they don't need the X because it's saying what they expect it to. So again, an exception where we put the little X has to do with a phonogram that's not saying what we expect it to. And that is number 3 on the Think to Spell list. Now, you would think, oh my goodness, English, oh, it's just such a complicated language and there's so many exceptions. I beg to differ. If you will look in Spell to Write and Read, starting at the bottom of page 80, we have the word of, and then this here, and then one more word at the top here, the word I, which is just plain weird word, I, as in my eye. That's it. Here is the list. Sorry, let me get back here. These are the words in the WISE list, 2,000 words, high frequency words in in English. That's it. Those are the words that would have an exception to the phonogram. So this is a page you're going to want to study. When you come across that little X, always come back to this page. It's page 81 in Spell to Write and Read, and she's got instructions there for you for how to teach those exception words. Okay, so I would teach the word, I'm going to show you how I would teach the word arrow and blood. Okay, so just so you see the dictation for that, the word is arrow. When I studied archery, I shot an arrow. Arrow. I'm going to think to spell arrow. Now, let me take a time out. Why do I need to tell the student that? Because I want to make sure the student knows where to break the syllables, and I also want to make sure they're hearing it very clearly. It's got a double consonant in the middle of it, so I want them to hear that. So I'm going to say the word in syllables very carefully. Breaking a word into syllables is think to spell strategy number 2. Okay, let's do it again. The word is arrow. I took archery and shot an arrow. How many? Think to spell arrow. You say it, arrow. Great. What's the first syllable? Sound it out for me. Arrow. O. Arrow. Notice the student is driving it. I didn't say that, the student said that. Okay? Now, I need to clarify, because I have more than one phonogram that I've taught that uses 2 fingers, 2 letters, to say the sound O. So I need to clarify for the student so he knows which phonogram to use here. So please use ow, O. Say it one more time. Arrow. All right, say it while you write it. Student writes arrow. Arrow. Teach it back to me. Now let's go to the marker. Okay, first syllable, second syllable, row, o, arrow. Great. Does yours look like mine? Yes. How do I mark it? Now, I'm going to pretend the student doesn't know this, okay? Underline R. Oh, underline R. Did I say R or did I say R? R. Oh, you said R. Okay, for that, we're going to put a 1 to show that this is saying ah and it's not R. Second syllable, how do I mark it? Underline O. Why did I do that? It's a multi-letter phonogram. And anything else? Put a 2 above it. Why? It said its second sound. Great. Anything else? Nope, you're done. Why do I ask anything else? Why did I ask that? I was done. Why did I ask that? Because if the only time I ask anything else is when there is something else, guess what? Student stops thinking and only is following my lead. So I need the student to keep thinking, am I done? Am I done? Is that it? Is there anything else? I need the student thinking that and not relying only on my cueing. Okay? So, great. Let's read the word one more time. Arrow. Great. All right. Next word is blood. He got hurt and there was blood. We're going to think to spell blood. Blood. Say it for me. Blood. Sound it out. Oh, how many syllables? Blood. One. Sound it out. B-o-o-d. Blood. All right. Please use o. Blood. Say it while you write it. B-o-o-d. Great. Teach it back to me. What's the word? Blood. Notice I'm still in think to spell. Notice that. I haven't gone to blood yet. We're still saying it in think to spell. All right, sound it out for me. B-o-o-d. Notice student kept saying it while I was writing it. Does yours look like mine? Yes. All right, tell me how to mark this. Underline ooh. Why do I underline ooh? It's a multi-letter phonogram. Wonderful. Now, I have a question for you. Is this word really blood? He got hurt and there was blood all over the place? No. That's right. It's blood. But are we expecting this phonogram to say Let's say the phonogram sounds ooh, oh. Nope, there's no there. So we're going to put an X. It is not saying what we expect it to. It is an exception for that phonogram. So we put an X over it. Let's say it again and think to spell. Say it together with me. B-o-o-d. And how do we say the word? Blood. Great job. All right. Hope that answers that question. Vanessa asked on our Yahoo group, does anyone know the proper way to dictate half, walk, and talk in L1? Okay, so all of these words have silent letters. So how do we dictate when she says the L seems silent? Yay, it is, Vanessa. That is completely correct. I'm assuming we say O when we think to spell. And why is it double underline? Is it because it's a silent? Is there a rule for this? Okay, so I will go through and how I would dictate half, walk, and talk. Okay, the word is half. My coffee cup is half full still. Half. We're going to think to spell. Notice I say the word, I use it in a sentence, I say it again, and then I immediately go into my think to spell. I'm going to think to spell half. You say that with me. Half. Say it again. Half. I'm listening when I say it again. When I'm having the student say it after me, I'm listening. Did the student catch everything? What if the student said half? Didn't catch the O that I dictated. So let me say it again. Half. You say it. Half. Great. Okay. Sound it out for me. Or how many syllables? One. Sound it out. Half. Half. Great. Say it while you write it. Half. Great. Dictate it back to me. The word is half. Half. Great. Does yours look like mine? Yes. How do I mark this? What do we do about the silent letter? This is what the student who's trained would do. Double underline the O. Why do I double underline that? Because it's a silent letter. Sorry, I'm mixing up who's talking. The student would say, double underline the O. Why? It's a silent letter. So let me explain. The first time we came across the double underline was when we had a silent final E. Okay, we did the bridge, I said I because of the E. I hope you can see this. And we did a double underline because E is a silent letter. So the first time we came across that marking is in the context of silent final E's. And what happens is a lot of times we say, well, why did you double underline that? Or why did you underline it twice? And they say, because it's a silent final E. We double underlined it because it's a silent letter. It happens to be a silent final E. But the marking, the double underline marking happens to be because it's a silent letter. So the same is true here. This is a silent letter. So I'm going to double underline it. Okay. How do I know that? Vanessa asked, what rule is there? Well, it's a rule that has to do with our markings. And again, that's on page 220 in Spell to Write and Read, a list of all of the markings. Why do we double underline something? That's because it's a silent letter. And then why do I think it for spelling? That's explained in your Think to Spell. The whole purpose of the Think to Spell is so that your student can lock onto the spelling and have a tool, a strategy for remembering spelling. I don't say my coffee is half full, my cup is still half full. I don't talk like that. I say half. But how do I remember a silent letter? It is exactly the same thing we do when we think the word Wednesday. I don't know. Do you think Wednesday when you go to spell the word Wednesday? We don't say it that way. Hey, I'll meet you next Wednesday. We don't say it that way, but that's how it's spelled. So we think in our head one way, we write it and to get it correctly, and we say it however we say it. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm thinking the way it's spelled, locking in that silent letter. So when I go to spell it, I'll think health, unless it becomes automatic and I don't even have to think that way anymore. Okay, the next word that Vanessa asked about was the word walk and talk. It is exactly the same. The word is walk. When I'm done here, I will go for a nice walk. How many syllables? Sorry, I don't do that until you think to spell. We think to spell walk. Walk. You say it, walk. All right. How many syllables? One. Sound it out for me. Walk. Okay, now this is a great example of a word where I need to do some clarifying. I've got the silent letter being heard. That's fine. But the first thing your student should think, the first phonogram your student should think of when they're here is a-o-oo. But I'm not using that phonogram. I'm not using a-o-oo. I'm using a-a-ah. So I need to clarify. In other words, when your student hears first thing they should think is a-o-oo. You clarify if it's not. Please use a-a-ah. First thing they should think when they hear k is the letter k, the letter C. They should think that phonogram. C usually says k. So that's what they should think. But it's not spelled with that, so I need to clarify. So here we go. Sound it out for me again. Walk. W-a-l-k. Great. What's the word? Walk. Let me explain some things. Please use a-a-ah. Use k. And if they're little, I might say use the tall k to help them. There's k and there's k. Different phonograms, different sounds, but just to help them lock that in, the tall k. And then I'll back off and I won't call it that for a while or anymore. So one more time, what's the word? Walk. All right, say it while you write it. W-a-l-k. Walk. All right, teach it back to me. What's the word? Walk. W-a-l-k. Walk. Does yours look like mine? Yes. Tell me how to mark it. Put a 3 over the ah. Why? It said its third sound. What do I do here? Double underline it. Why? It's a silent letter. That's right. We don't say walk. I'm going to go for a nice walk. Notice how many times I say it in the Think to Spell. Notice that. I say walk. Very good. You heard that. Do I need to do anything here? No, it only has one sound. Great job. What's our word? Walk. All right. Walk. Sorry. All right. And then she also asked about talk. Talk is exactly the same as walk. The word is talk. I talk on the video. Talk. How many syllable? Or we're going to think to spell talk. You say it. Talk. How many syllables? Talk. 1. Sound it out for me. T-a-l-k. Talk. Now I need to clarify. Use a-a-ah. Use the talk. Talk. You say it while you write it. T-a-l-k. Talk. Teach it back to me. What's the word? Talk. T-a-l-k. Talk. Does yours look like mine? Yes. Tell me how to mark it. Put a 3 over the ah. Why? It said its third sound. What else do I need to do? Double underline the silent letter. Notice I'm saying silent letter, not silent L. Okay, silent letter. That's the marking. Double underline, silent letter. Anything else? No, that's it. Great job. Okay, so Vanessa, I hope that answers your question.